Hello again to another Take 5. Today we have an insight into the North Guildford Foodbank, the sort of produce and toiletries and things that they need and use and what they do with it. Part of the clip will play in the Sunday service, but for today, just some insights into how we as a church can help them in the days ahead. And then we'll have a fond farewell from Brenda and Bruce Morley, touching on what they have learned and experienced at Wonersh Church. We wish them well and they send us their blessings. First of all then, over to the Foodbank.
So Zoe, tell us, how much food do you give out to your family on a weekly basis?
Okay, so this is a food parcel for a typical family of about 2 to 3 members. So we've got 50 items of cupboard food, we've got toiletries, we've got cleaning products, and we also give out some fresh food as well. So it's quite a decent amount of food.
So how can the churches support the work of Foodbank?
Well, as churches, we would really appreciate prayer, basically, because as you can imagine, it's a big operation. We've got lots of people involved, lots of food involved, lots of organisation, and we pray a lot ourselves, but we would appreciate other people praying for us as well.
But in terms of filling up these crates, what's the best way of...
Okay, so we are suggesting 3 ways of giving. First of all, money. We really appreciate it when people give us money. It gives us flexibility because obviously we've got peaks and troughs in demand and in supply as well. And money just allows us to be flexible and buy in what we need and when we need it. It also helps us with the storage issue because you'll appreciate we've got a lot of stuff here, and St Clair's have been very kind in letting us use the hall, but we may at some point need to give part of it back to them, or all of it, so that's tricky. So money is the first protocol, and if you'd like to donate, that would be brilliant. If you could go to our website, that gives you details on how to donate, and our website details are going to appear at the bottom of the screen. Second way of giving is produce. We've provided each church with a short list of items that we would appreciate so that we can stock the range of goods that we need. We're not going to get a mountain of pasta and no pasta sauce and a whole load of beans, but no washing liquids. So, you know, it's getting that balance right, really. The last thing that we'd really appreciate, if you're able to give it, is time. We obviously rely on volunteers entirely. And we've got a number of jobs to fill, so from sorting to packing and also delivering, and we've got a particular need at the moment for delivery drivers, so if you are keen to volunteer, we'd love to hear from you, and again, go to our website, the details of which are at the bottom of the screen. People have been so generous, and I just want to say, or we want to say, a really big thank you for your generosity. We couldn't be doing this without you, and thank you for your support.
Hi everyone. On Sunday we stepped into church for the first time since lockdown, and it suddenly struck us that that would be the last time we would step into St John's as our home church. It was an emotional morning with the lovely messages from everybody and the clip of our golden wedding, but it was something that Colin said in his talk that struck home with us, and we thought we would like to share a little with you before we move on to Pastor's New in Rudgwick.
Colin said it takes a church to make a disciple, and when we were discussing this and feeling less emotional, we came to the conclusion that this represented our journey in Wonersh Church.
We want to start off by saying and being honest with you that when we first came to the church, we realised we were regular churchgoers, and it was Jeff Watley and his wife Sheila, together with our very dear friend Sue Metcalf, who set us off on our new journey. This was by the way they lived and acted out their love for Christ in their lives and the way they tried to spread the gospel.
It wasn't long before Jeff came round, realising that I was a chartered accountant, asking me if I would be church treasurer. Now, at our previous church, I always said that I would never hold that role until I retired. But after much prayer, I did decide to accept this position. And actually, it was a very good way of getting to know members of the church family quite quickly. I held that position for about 8 years, and then continued producing the accounts for about 7 years after that, mostly working with Tony Pratt as treasurer. Now, I think it was a privilege actually to hold that role as in a position of trust and also serving Christ.
There were several times over the 10 years that Jeff Botley was vicar that he would appear on our doorstep, and to be honest with you, we did send up a little silent message, "What now?" The next time that he appeared after he'd been round to ask Bruce to be treasurer was when he came round to ask me if it would be possible for me to look after a tiny newborn baby, Emily, whose mother Sarah had unfortunately had a brain hemorrhage following her birth. Her father Simon really wanted to go back to work so that he could save the time for when Sarah came out of hospital and would need his help. So we agreed and found ourselves caring for a tiny baby for the next 6 months until, with great relief on everyone's part, Sarah was well enough to take on the role she was intended to do.
This was followed by Jeff asking Brenda to trial run a discipleship course with her, Jeff and 3 others. Now, those others included a lawyer, an anthropologist and a nurse. And I shouldn't say this, but Brenda often had to look up words that were used during the course to find out what they meant. However, she did do that, and it was a great success.
One of the next things Jeff asked me to do was to lead the women's group, which I agreed to. And then he came round with the idea of would I head up a new home group for young couples, which I agreed to do along with Christine Merritt. And I would just like to say at this point that we still think of Guy and Kia, Steve and Alex, Helen and John T, and Will and Alana as young couples, you'll be pleased to know.
Brenda played a substantial part in this team and enjoyed supporting them. And it was soon after that Brenda was asked to consider being part of the Ministry for Seniors, which was headed by Liz Tilley. And that's proved to be a very successful and very precious part of the church services and ministry.
When Liz Tilley returned from Tanzania, Jeff had asked her if she would form this seniors ministry, and it was a role she undertook successfully. But I think one of the things that gave us the most fun was holiday at homes, which I will tell you a bit more in a minute.
I enjoyed supporting Brenda and Liz in this holiday at home and other events, and alongside James, I've also taken part in leading church walks and balls, tournaments and other events for slightly less seniors. I would also like to thank James for his friendship at the church and being an inspirational home group leader.
So I've had some very fond memories of our 10 years of running holiday at homes with Liz and I heading up the team. We had a different theme each year, and these ranged from a cruise ship to dining at the Ritz, Treasure Island to the Olympics, and we've had very many fun moments. We would always have a Bible verse that Liz somehow miraculously managed to link to the theme that we had, and that Bible theme would go through with our prayers, and the end of the holiday at home we had a service and that was linked to the theme. I think one of my most memorable moments was the year we decided to have Treasure Island, and we decided we would sing some songs from South Pacific. To this day I don't know quite why I agreed, but I agreed to do a little song with one of our seniors called George Miles, and it was from South Pacific called Honey Bun. I have never been so red in the face in all my life, because usually I only sing in the shower. And when George appeared fully dressed up in the coconuts, and you've got to watch the film to know what the coconuts were, I just couldn't stop laughing. But it was a fun and treasured moment. A lot of the seniors, our senior folk from church, used to invite along friends who maybe didn't come to church, and that is also a treasured moment, as many of them came to know Christ through our holiday at homes, and then eventually started coming as regular members of our Thursday service. And as part of the seniors ministry, it's been a real privilege to be alongside some of these people when they came to the end of their lives, and to see the assurance they had gained of knowing who and where they were going to.
Coming back to the Thursday services, when transporting seniors to and from church from their homes, I've had many interesting conversations and made some lasting friendships with these people, which has been very rewarding. When Debbie came on board, she took over the role of Jeff, and popping round to ask us if we would consider doing various things. And one of those was asking Brenda to be an occasional preacher, which involved going on a course. And again, I understand that she had to look up some words after that course to find out exactly what they meant. There's all these ecclesiastical terms. Anyway, Brenda did accept, and with help from Liz Tilley and Nancy, she's taken a very active part in the Thursday services, preparing and leading these services on a regular basis.
So I'm sorry if we've gone on a bit, but we hope that you will see as being a member of Wonersh Church family can help you to grow from churchgoers to disciples. And if you're willing to open up your heart and mind to suggestions or opportunities that are offered to you. It is true that Christ never asks you to do something that you can't do, and also that he is always by your side, encouraging you, guiding you. And in the words of one of our favourite hymns, Christ is our faithful one, our rock of peace, and we depend on him.
So, God bless you all for now, and we are sure that we will be back to visit from time to time.
And thanking you very, very much for helping us to grow and being alongside us through good times and bad.